But let me describe to you what they're thinking for these trees. When they tell you about it, I want you to look at the scenery while I describe this. Okay. A cascade of delicate pink flowers creates a breathtaking garden focal point in spring. This graceful weeping tree brings elegance and charm to any landscape with its arching branches that look like a waterfall of blooms. The flower display is followed by lush green foliage in summer and golden yellow leaves in fall, perfect for entryways, gardens, or as standalone accent. The weeping cherry provides year-round interest and timeless beauty. Wow. Wow. Uh, just you feel that timeless beauty. It really is. It's just like you want to stay there. Like why would I leave this picture? I don't want to leave this picture. Um but I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for you because my face is coming back. But I of course I have more pictures for you. It's just we got to we got to communicate about all these things. And wow, you guys. Wow. But we know how good they are at this practice, at this art. Now I want to get you into the history of how it began and the reasoning behind it. Because I never knew such things. The art of nature is a major theme not only in Japanese gardens, but in all genre of Japanese art, because Japanese geographical location, because of Japan's geographical location. Most Japanese islands are within the Asian monsoon region. During the summer, the temperature is humid, a lot of sunlight, and it can reach tropical levels. Think the Caribbean. In addition, summer monsoons bring abundant rainfall, which allows for the production of rice, cultivation of rice, which is well suited for these countries' high rainfall, and rice does require a lot of water to grow. I never knew that. However, during the summer monsoons, rainfall is so irregular that it is not uncommon for a harvest to be poor due to drought or flooding. Rituals were developed. They prayed to the gods for rain in spring and for good harvest in the autumn. The Japanese garden is a space in which elements such as rocks, plants, streams, and ponds represents gods. Between the relatively long and comfortable autumn and spring, the winter is cold and many regions in Japan have heavy snowfall. These distinctive four seasons became a time frame for agriculture and life itself that formed Japanese culture and aesthetics. Unlike Western culture, residential architecture is not entirely enclosed but designed to introduce nature to the seasonal changes can be observed from within the living space. The Japanese consider nature a changing phenomena and appreciate seasonal changes as an integral aspect of its beauty. Japan is possibly the only country in the world whose poetry and literature could not survive without the theme of the four seasons. Wow, that's pretty interesting. And yeah, they're landlocked. They're landlocked. All of that is just interesting. How then? How the gears in my head are turning. I'm like, so how? When did all this come about? But I mean, in my excitement, I'm forgetting to show you some pretty cool pictures. It's always like in the movies when you see them, but these are more realistic. The pink that I was telling you about earlier, like this is like more realistic. That, it's very beautiful. And you can see the branches going straight out. But in the big one that you saw later, it really was drooping and coming off. So I wasn't sure about that one. But look at this. Wow, that's magnificent. I know every girl wants to go to Japan. So ladies, you're welcome. You're welcome, okay? Because I'm transporting you to Japan through pictures. But nature is one of those things that is you should be enjoyed by all people. I don't know when nature became a girl thing, but nature is soothing to all people. And I don't know. It's weird to me that we don't really express. it as much. Maybe it's just our Western culture. We're not really as much into nature as Japanese people are. But we continue. The ancient Japanese, whose lives depended upon countless natural phenomena, did not conceive of a single deity, as in monotheism. Instead, they considered all natural elements, such as mountains, oceans, the sun, and wind, as gods, the so called 8 million gods in the world. They reserved and thanked those natural elements and energies and prayed that the spirits of the gods would be peaceful and not cause catastrophes. In the tradition of Shino, the Japanese native religion, purified places where the spirits of the gods were believed to gather. They were called niwa, which means garden. In Shinto, in Shinto shrines, we can still often find a huge rock, god's seat, iwakura, or a huge tree, gods, goshinboku. This worship of gods and trees in Shinto shrines reflects the basic attitude of nature worship and finding spirituality in in natural elements that are the distinguishing features of the Japanese garden in contrast to Chinese and English gardens. Cool. It's pretty interesting to get an idea into how these people think and why it is that way. Why would they end up worshiping like not necessarily yes yeah gods, like why would they end up worshiping nature? In a way, for me though, as a person who is like a Christian, I think God is nature, nature is God. So I'm trying to, like, of course I'm trying to make a correlation, of course, but my thinking is like, I suppose they are like worshipers of God in a way, that like God created all of this and to worship it, you know still in a way worshiping God. I'm not sure, but it's just my thinking, and I'm bringing you into my mind right now. Okay, it's what things that go through my mind. But look at these trees. This is a smaller one. Like you can, like when they're younger, when they're not old, you can see that they're upright. They're not so droopy. So Japan is a natural fortress because it is completely surrounded by the ocean. It had never experienced an invasion until the Mongols attacked during the Kamakura period. The ancient Japanese believed that only good things came from beyond the ocean. Innocent of invasion, they were extremely receptive to foreign cultures, not only Korean and Chinese, but also Indian and other Southeast Asian cultures. These cultures were introduced to Japan via the Silk Road during this period. Buddhism, Confucianism, Chinese literature, and ink brush paintings were also adopted into Japanese culture. Yeah, we covered the Great Wall of China at some point, and yes, the Silk Road is immensely wow. It really connected the Asian countries together. It really did. And the Great Wall, it spans. Really, the Great Wall is not really one wall. It is a collection of walls built over different centuries by different dynasties. We begun with the Shin dynasty. China gets its first name from its first empire. Anyways, emperor. Anyways, but when the Chinese are building, the wall and they're trying to establish their states, China, when it first began, everybody was doing walls to just protect their own little kingdom. And then, again, first emperor of China unites the country through, honestly, just brutalness, just brutality, to be just brutal. But the wall is a primary thing that he focused on because at the time the Chinese were experiencing some nomadic tribes in the north. China is again surrounded by land, so they're experiencing things from the Mongols coming down, and there are, nomadic tribes coming down and raiding them. So they begin the wall. That's, the main purpose. That's why it started. And then as time goes on and each dynasty adds on to the wall, then it becomes, well, yes, it's for protection, but it's also a symbol of strength. It's a symbol of resolution. It is a symbol of the rest of the world stay out. We don't need you. And, you know, I think the wall is just as much a thing of like symbolizing how the Chinese people are. It's really, really fascinating. But going on with all these changes that are being made with the Great Wall comes along, and we have the Silk Road trade happening, and there China is able to use the resources that they have to trade for things. Silk Road, silk, actually very hard to come by in China, so they had to get it elsewhere, and we're doing all these things and negotiating. So going through Japan, going Korea, going to India, we have Buddhism and all these different types of religion and ideas coming and spreading about. And Japan will then adopt some of these practices. Um, so the Buddhism and the different cultures, Confucianism, and horticulture, that is coming from China. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah, that's my spiel on China and Japan being connected. Broad overview, my people. Broad overview. I am not an expert. We are here to have fun.